Okay, so today we're going to do lesson 11 and write our final arguments as to why the jelly population has increased. Remember, throughout this unit, we've been trying to figure out why the jelly population in Glacier Sea increased, and we learned that changes to the jelly's resource or consumer populations could affect the jellies. So we started out in chapters 1 and 2, and we found that an increase in zooplankton or a decrease in sea turtles could cause the moon jellies to go up. In chapter 3, we took it a step further and learned about indirect effects. So we also learned that the size of the population can be affected by populations other than its consumer or resource populations. So it's possible through competition that the walleye could affect the size of the moon jellies because they share the resource population of the zooplankton, or that the algae or that the orca could have also impacted the size of the moon jelly population because they are also indirectly connected to our moon jellies. Scientists revised their claims and changed their ideas, so we're going to now look at some new claims about why the jellies increased. Our original claims focused only on the zooplankton and the sea turtles. So in these new claims, remember that our question is what could have caused the size of the moon jelly population to increase? And our claims are just possible answers to that. So the population increased because claim 1, the size of the algae population changed. So here would be our algae. That could impact the moon jellies through the zooplankton. Claim 2, the size of the walleye population changed. That could also affect our moon jellies through the zooplankton. Or claim 3, the population increased because the size of the orca population changed, which would impact our moon jellies through sea turtles. To decide which claim to support and how to explain the jelly population increase, we're going to now look at some new evidence about the algae, the walleye, and the orca. You're going to look at the evidence cards one by one and just think about whether they support the claims. The food web is here on this slide if you need to refer back to it during your thinking. Card E is for the algae. So every year between 1980 and 2000, ecologists counted algae in 10 locations in Glacier Sea. Those locations are indicated by the black dots. And they concluded that the population was stable, but then it started to increase around 2000. That would be at the same time that the moon jellies also were increasing. So the size of the algae population changed as claim 1. That's what caused the jellies to increase. So does card E support or go against this claim? Take a moment to think about that. So it says right on our card that the population started to increase around 2000. So that would be, that would support claim 1, because if the size of the algae population increased, that would give the zooplankton more energy storage molecules, which would then cause them to increase. And then that would also give the moon jellies then more energy storage molecules, and their births would then be greater than deaths, and their population would also increase. So evidence card E supports the idea that claim 1 could be the answer to our question. Card F is the walleye. Every year between 1980 and 2010, ecologists counted walleye at 10 different locations throughout Glacier Sea. They concluded that the population was stable and then started to decrease around 2000. Again, the black dots indicate where our data was collected. So claim 2 is another possible answer. And so the size of the walleye pollock population changed. And that would be why the jellies increased. Does card F support or go against that claim? Take a moment to think about that. So claim 2, the size of the walleye pollock population changed, is supported by card F. The walleye pollock and the moon jellies both eat zooplankton. So if the walleye pollock decreased, as the evidence card states, that would leave more energy storage molecules of zooplankton for the moon jellies to eat, and that would allow them to reproduce more, and births then would be greater than deaths. Evidence card G is the orca. Every year between 1980 and 2010, ecologists counted orcas at the same 10 locations they collected the walleye data. They concluded that the population stayed stable. So could claim 3 be the answer to our question, that the moon jelly population increased because the size of the orca population changed? Does card G support or go against this claim? So evidence card G is actually evidence against the claim, right? So claim 3 says that the orca population changed, and our evidence card says they concluded that the population stayed stable. So if these orcas stayed stable, then they're going to eat the same number of sea turtles, and that would have no effect on the moon jellies. So claim 3 is not supported by evidence. So for that reason, we do have evidence supporting claim 1 and 2, but we are going to eliminate claim 3 because based on the evidence, the size of the orca population did not change. So in your writing, you should be choosing claim 1 or claim 2 at this point. You should not be choosing claim 3. To prepare to write your arguments, you're also going to want to look back at evidence card A and remember that it provides evidence about the zooplankton. So here's evidence card A that we talked about early in the unit. They concluded, every year between 1980 and 2000, ecologists counted zooplankton in 6 different locations throughout Glacier Sea. They concluded that the population was stable and then started to increase around 2000. So you want to think about, does that support both or either claim 1 or claim 2? So if our zooplankton went up, does that go along with the algae going up and the walleye going down? So does card A support or go against either claim? Just want you to think about that one. All right, so next you're going to write your final argument to Dr. Tiana Washington and her team of ecologists at Glacier Sea Research Center. To explain the causes and effects that are making the jelly population increase, you need to use the evidence cards and any other evidence that you've discovered throughout the unit. The next slide is a review of the important aspects of a scientific argument. So once you get to your writing, when it asks for evidence, these are the evidence cards that you should be referring to, okay, as you support your claims. Remember that a scientific argument begins with a question. Our question is, why did the moon jelly population increase? Has a claim that proposes an answer to the question. You should be choosing either claim 1 or claim 2. Has evidence that supports the claim. So you want to go back to the slides with the evidence cards and choose the evidence. You only need one piece of evidence for this writing that best supports the claim that you chose. Then you want to clearly explain how the evidence supports the claim. That's your reasoning. This is where you're going to use the things you've learned throughout the unit, like your vocabulary, resource population, consumer population, indirect effects, competition if it applies to your situation, energy storage molecules. You want to talk about those indirect effects and that chain reaction of what's happening, so that all of that stuff goes into your reasoning. In your argument, you can choose to support claim 1, 2, or both of these claims if you would like. Just remember that we've already eliminated claim 3, so you should not be writing about claim 3. Let's go ahead and go to Google Classroom and open up number 2 for today. We're going to write a final argument about what could have caused the size of the moon jelly population to increase. So Google Classroom, number 2. These directions here are also stated on your document as we already did, we want to make sure that you read through the slides before trying to complete this assignment, because of course the slides is where you will find your evidence. We also have a rubric here that you can go back and check your work against to make sure that you did a good job and that you have everything that's required. So here is our final argument. Please read through Populations and Resources Lesson 11 slides before trying to complete this assignment. We've already done that. Write a final argument about what could have caused the size of the moon jelly population to increase. Follow the instructions below. Review the evidence to decide which claim or claims you think are supported. Write your argument. State your claim. You can support one or both claims. Describe at least one piece of evidence. Evidence can be found in the Lesson 11 slides. Make your argument as convincing as possible by making sure you explain how your evidence supports your claim or claims. Use what you have learned in the unit to support your argument. Vocab and key concepts are on the following pages. Read over your completed argument. Is it convincing? Did you use science terms such as competition, consumer population, resource population, energy storage molecules? I would even suggest you use the term indirect effects in there. So our question, what could have caused the size of the moon jelly population to increase? This is where you should choose your claim. So you want to either say, you're either going to go with the size of because the algae increased, or because the walleye population decreased. At this point, there is no wrong answer as long as you do not choose claim 3, which you can see is already eliminated. So as long as you choose claim 1 or 2, go back to your slides to pick the evidence that would support that claim, and then write your reasoning, which is your science content that you learned throughout the unit, to explain why that evidence supports your claim, and then check your rubric over to make sure that you have everything done. If you need further assistance, then send me an email, and I'll be more than happy to help you through either Google Meet or email, whatever works best for you. After you finish your article, your writing piece, we are done. Congratulations on your hard work investigating the jellies of Glacier Sea. From this point, we will go into another example of an organism's population changing and see how you can manage that with the information that you've learned so far. Have a great day. I look forward to seeing everybody later in the week.